She is the most beautiful fairy in the Moor Forest. Not only does she have an angelic face and a devilish figure, she also has a pair of huge and plump wings. She flies in the sky of Moor Forest all day, guarding everything here, preventing some humans with ulterior motives from invading. But even so, there are still some humans who take risks for their own interests. One night, 3 men sneaked into the forest under the cover of darkness. They caught one of the little elves in the tree hole while they were sleeping, and also picked a glowing ghost flower. Unexpectedly, at this moment, the bald man sensed something was wrong. 2 huge horns suddenly appeared behind them. The 2 men were scared and turned and ran, but they didn't expect to be firmly tied by the vines that suddenly sprouted. Only a shadow flapping its wings appeared in front of the 2. Then a scream spread throughout the forest. The last man ran away in fright when he heard the sound. The lucky man who escaped from Moor Forest came to the front of the king's castle. He handed the captured elf and ghost flower to the people in the castle. Little did he know that the buyer was the queen of this country. The ambitious queen has been secretly developing secret weapons, just to be able to flatten Moor Forest in the future. These ghost flower powders mixed with iron powder can cause a fatal blow to the elves. The dwarf just sprinkled a small spoonful of powder on the elf. The elf instantly lost its soul and returned to its original form. No longer any vitality. The queen saw this and showed an excited expression. At the same time, a huge conspiracy formed in the queen's mind. That day, Maleficent suddenly heard that her daughter wanted to marry the prince. He was so angry that he jumped off a cliff. Maleficent, who had been hurt by humans, knew the danger of humans. He didn't want to see Aurora repeat his mistakes. But Aurora, who is in love, insists on marrying the prince. Although Maleficent is only Aurora's adoptive mother, but her heart has long regarded Aurora as her own daughter, facing Aurora's desire for love. In the end, Maleficent softened her heart. For Aurora's happiness, she put down her hatred for humans, and entered the human world again. In the banquet hall of the palace, the king and queen have been waiting for a long time. On the surface, this is a dinner for the first meeting of parents on both sides. Little did they know that this was a trap set by the queen. Everyone knows, Maleficent can't touch iron objects, but the queen not only invited them to eat bird meat with wings, also deliberately placed iron cutlery in front of him, until Aurora quietly explained to the queen. The queen pretended not to know. Let the servant remove the tableware. Maleficent saw this and no longer cared about the queen, but the queen still refused to let go. The words in the later period are still full of difficulties and aggressive. At this moment, Maleficent realized she is the target of the queen. At this time, the queen's cat suddenly attacked him, but it was instantly fixed in the air by Maleficent. Suddenly, the scene fell into a tense situation. Fortunately, under Aurora's persuasion, Maleficent suppressed the anger in her heart. Seeing that she failed to provoke Maleficent, the queen used another trick. She knew Maleficent values Aurora more than herself, so she announced in front of everyone, Aurora will be her daughter in the future. This sentence immediately touched Maleficent's bottom line. He could no longer suppress the anger in his heart. Powerful magic instantly enveloped the entire banquet hall. The queen hid behind the king in a frightened manner, but just at this moment, the king suddenly felt unwell. In the blink of an eye, he inexplicably fell down and passed out. The queen took the opportunity to shout. It was Maleficent who cursed the king. Aurora on the side looked at Maleficent with a disappointed face. She even began to question the godmother who raised her. At this time, Maleficent wanted to take Aurora away from the palace, but Aurora stood on the queen's side, asked Maleficent to lift the curse. Maleficent saw that the child she had raised turned out to be a white-eyed wolf. In the end, he angrily left the palace, ready to return to Moor Forest. Unexpectedly, at this moment, the advisor ambushing on the city wall quietly aimed at him. A precise iron bullet hit Maleficent. The next second, Maleficent fell straight into the cold sea from the sky. The advisor on the city wall thought that the other party was bound to die. Unexpectedly, a shadow suddenly fell from the sky, dived into the sea, held Maleficent from the bottom of the water, then broke out of the sea, quickly disappeared into the dark clouds. When Maleficent woke up, I found myself in a strange nest, and the wound on his body has been bandaged. There are many connected passages here. There are also many feathers scattered on the ground. Maleficent came to a bottomless hole. He suddenly sensed a kind feeling. Maleficent thought for a moment, actually jumped down directly. At the end of the black hole, he found many of his own kind who looked exactly like him. It turns out that Maleficent and they all belong to the rare Dark Knight clan.